Hello, and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. We are once again Governor Nelson's. It is a beautiful, beautiful park on the shores of Lake Mendota, by some very, very rich neighborhoods and golf courses. We'll see the full tour of the Lake Mendota tour when I actually do one of these biking rides. But we're going to talk about Cardano and Charles Hoskinson, and do they actually have the right philosophy? Getting everything perfectly right before releasing anything, and delaying until everything gets perfect so they don't have any bugs coming out. Now, I've talked about this before, but there are other things that I do really wish to talk about this time, because recently, in the recent months, we've seen Ethereum have a lot of troubles, and we know that Ethereum was launched several years ago with, let's say, more than a few imperfections, and we've seen that it can't scale, and now 2.0 is essentially taking forever. 2.0 was supposed to launch like years ago, and they've delayed it for 2 years. So technically Ethereum 2.0 has been delayed as much as Cardano, but Ethereum is a little different because 1.0 is actually already out and people are building a lot of apps on it. And it being out means it's gaining on Cardano if both aren't out, because Cardano has nothing to actually for people to actually deploy on. That's not true, because New Balance has actually deployed on them, but not like dApp developers. They can't really develop until Shelly actually comes. Well, Shelly and Goguen actually come out. So it's very, very hard to say if his philosophy is right or not, because Ethereum's philosophy is like kind of improve as you go along, where Cardano's philosophy is we must get everything right at the start, and we're not going to launch until we do, which means a lot of times in the business world that you never launch, which is why they've been delayed for so long. But the thing is, Ethereum 2.0 has been delayed just as long on the other philosophy, and the thing is, it will take much, much longer than Cardano, Shelly, Goguen to actually roll out, because they have to roll out all the products that are already on there along with the launch. So it actually could be more difficult than Cardano, and actually it is. Cardano doesn't have many projects to actually migrate over, and many of those like big corporate projects like New Balance, they can just easily shift over when they are actually ready, whereas Ethereum can't actually do that. They have to do it step by step. They have to get their dApp developers and all that DeFi crap to actually move over, which means the DeFi crap is going to actually switch to a new platform, which I actually sort of hope they do, or they actually have to migrate very slowly, which could actually take a period of 3, 4, 5 years or more. And during that time, there's going to be a lot of corporate platforms that move onto Cardano, Tezos, or another blockchain platform. So Ethereum's imperfections and the long time that it actually takes to actually scale into 2.0. Yes, I know there are 1.0 scaling solutions, but layer 2 solutions can't solve everything, and you're still going to get jammed on the base Ethereum blockchain, unfortunately, if you try to rely all on those layer 2 solutions. We've all seen that before. Ethereum's jammed at least twice, and those were during high tide times, where it's very, very important for Ethereum to actually be able to handle the transactions per minute. Now, during those times, like chains like XRP, VeChain, and other blockchains have demonstrated that they can actually scale far, far better than Ethereum. They all can process like 100 transactions per second, no problem, even on the base layer. So, but they also don't have Cardano's full decentralization like Shelly will actually have. So the thing is, like, the philosophies are actually in conflict. I do believe that like in Ethereum's case, like Microsoft is one example of a platform that has many errors, but they just fix them as they go along. We have all 10 versions of Windows right now, and they keep on giving us update patches every 2 weeks. That works very well for Microsoft, but with so many enterprises actually being on the ETH blockchain, an upgrade of magnitude proportions to actually scale like 2.0 does not go so well. On the other hand, you don't really have much to talk about with Cardano and Shelly and Goguen, because they actually haven't launched. We get a lot of hype about they're launching, but they actually haven't launched, and there's really very few things building on it. Yes, New Balance is piloting on it, and they will move it to Shelly, but until they launch, they really don't have anything to brag about. They've achieved a lot of things, but only in theory. They really haven't achieved things until they actually launch and people actually build on it. So I do think you have to find a compromise, a happy medium. But the thing is, like, Cardano's lack of projects on 1.0's blockchain actually will help them migrate much, much faster. And they're lucky because cryptocurrency and blockchain is still a very, very young field, so they have a lot of time. They probably still have a year or two. Whereas Ethereum, yes, it actually got the front runner status, and it's going to be very, very hard to overcome that front runner status. But Cardano and other blockchains will have a long lead time to actually do so. So, if in my opinion, I sort of favor Ethereum strategy a little more because I think establishing that early mover advantage and getting all those corporates on early on will actually prove to be the winner in the long run. But it's very, very hard to say if that will actually be the case in the long run, because if Cardano actually catches the momentum in the next 3 years while Ethereum is desperately trying to scale, assuming they come with Shelley and Gogan this year, Cardano might actually end up taking the cake. So Charles favors the academic approach. He likes Cardano. He likes Algorand. I favor, like, because you have public coins out for the investor, I sort of semi-favor the Ethereum approach. I think Ethereum could have definitely done better, and I think, like, honestly, Vitalik could move faster. So I actually favor Ethereum, but with a faster moving Vitalik. I don't know if you can imagine a faster moving Vitalik, because I don't think he's really that fast in moving, but if there's like a faster moving Vitalik, I would actually favor Ethereum. Right now, I bet the market actually will be split after Cardano launches and Tezos launches. I do think Ethereum will still hold the biggest share after a couple of years, but Cardano is really going to catch up, and they're all going to go up in time. So in conclusion, I still favor Ethereum's tactic a little more. I just wish they had a kind of like a CEO who was maybe slightly less brainy, but slightly more business inclined and moved slightly faster on their upgrades, because I do think that's possible. Now, you can't just speed through the upgrades, but I think, like, with someone that was slightly more business oriented and slightly faster on the upgrades, I think 2.0 could have launched maybe back in maybe early 2019, and we would be in phase 1 or maybe the beginning of phase 2 by now, and we would be in line with Cardano's launch, which means that Ethereum would actually not lose market share to Cardano, because right now we are braced to lose market share to other Ethereum's braced to lose market share to other cryptocurrencies like Cardano, which is going to come up very fast, and I'm very excited about Cardano, which is why I'm invested in Cardano. So although, like, me personally, I don't favor Cardano's strategy. I actually don't think it's a bad strategy, as long as they can actually launch this year and not delay until when Ethereum actually launches, like, phase 2 of Ethereum 2.0, because that would be really, really bad for them. So that's the episode for today. I hope you enjoyed this lake. I hope you enjoy the lovely scenery. Hopefully this gets you out of lockdown depression, and have a nice day, everyone.